I've got more employees than I've ever had. I've got more clients than I've ever had. We're generating more revenue than we've ever generated. We've got more expenses than I've ever had. More highs, more lows than I've ever had. How do you take on the amount of pressure in daily decision making that is required to build a bigger business? Let's get into it. If you want the resource that I'm going to be writing on today, links in the description to get access to that. So very first thing that I want you to understand about handling pressure, that anxiety or worry comes from a few things. First, not knowing the full picture. And particularly, I mean the numbers of the situation that you're experiencing, okay? So you have to know your full financials front to back. You have to know your tax implications front to back, what each team member is getting paid front to back. Every single moving penny in your business, you gotta track it. And if you haven't been tracking it, dial back your spending, dial back your expenses, and just get a hold of the cash in your business. Get a hold of your marketing projections, get a hold of the key numbers, get it all right in front of you, because there's a quote from a Dale Carnegie book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Worry is a byproduct of unknowing. So if you're overwhelmed, get clarity on the full picture. That's the very first thing. You must get clarity on the full picture and have all the facts right in front of you. Second thing, clear start and stop times to your work day. Have a micro life outside of work. Now this doesn't need to be like a full-fledged like social life and you've got a million things you're going to and you're at a new event every evening. Like, I don't really do much outside of hang out with my wife, pretty much. I mean, I hang out with my wife and I hang out with a friend maybe once a week and I go to the gym and I play video games in the evening. I mean, that's what I do. It's just me personally. And so I stop around 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. and I start generally around 10 or 11 a.m. So I've kind of got like my whole morning just to like ease into the day. And then in the evening, I just cut it off. Which is going to lead me to my second point. Take care of yourself. I mean, there's a few key areas, okay? There's sleep. Sleep is obvious. I mean, you gotta be getting like 8 to 9 hours of sleep every single night. There for about 2 years, I wore an Oura Ring. An Oura Ring is basically gonna give you the ability to track your sleep down to the minute in its quality. And so then I kind of became like this geeky nerd about my sleep for like 2 whole years. It is kind of ridiculous, it's the level of stats that you get is ridiculous. But I really recommend one. Pick one up, it's like $300, totally worth it. Diet, I try not to have any carbs until no sooner than like 1 or 2 p.m. Keep very clean energy for the majority of my day. High protein, high fiber diet towards the beginning of the day. And I usually don't even eat until about noon, which sounds crazy, but intermittent fasting just keeps my energy up. I do some caffeine earlier in the day, some clean caffeine, no sugar in the caffeine, not a latte with like a bunch of sugar and milk in it. There is exercise. And for exercise, I hit the gym, do weight training, do cardio, and I just get my body moving. Okay, now lastly, mental health. The biggest key that I can give you for mental health is find a therapist or a counselor or somebody that you can offload onto once a week. You have to have somebody that you can offload onto, personal, business, financial, spiritual. You got to find somebody that has alignment with you. I can honestly say that if I didn't have a really good counselor right now, that I'd be probably freaking out half the time, because there's just so many things going on. And if I'm not able to control everything that's happening in like my head, and I'm not able to step back and, a good counselor should help you be very mindful of what's happening in your life so that you don't become a rider of your own roller coaster, but you can observe your own roller coaster and almost see it as separate from it. And instead of being in the ups and downs, you're just watching the ups and downs, which is a huge life skill, huge life skill. And I'll add to this as well, probably the last one is meditation. This is probably, of this list, the one that I'm least consistent about, but I'd say a minimum of at least 3 or 4 days a week for 10 to 20 minutes. I'll use the app Headspace or the app Calm, or I'll just self-guide myself through a meditation, or I just follow my breath. So in through the nose, out through the mouth, deep breaths for the start especially, and then you start to get your breath back into a normal rhythm. Only breathe through your nose, focus on the air coming in and out of your nose, and I really like to do it in the sauna. Now, for those of you who are of similar faith to myself, strong in your Christian faith, prayer, give it to God. Give it to God. And practically, this literally means, and this is just my advice to those of you who share my faith, you have to practice that cognitive letting go. You're not in denial. You're not saying this problem doesn't exist. You're saying that I am so tiny, and my life is so tiny. It's a tiny grain of sand on a beach of hundreds of billions of other grains, and my problems are about that big as well. and God is about the size of all the beaches in the entire world combined times 1,000,000. So it's like, can he really not handle this? I think he can. Jim Rohn had a great quote. He said, "I began to sleep better at night once I realized God dwarfed me." And this is just great advice for those of you who share my faith. And if you don't share my faith, hey ho, maybe this encourages you to discover your faith. All right, next piece of advice is when making decisions, when making key decisions, because a lot of the time you can make your situation worse very, very quickly by acting in pressure. When making key decisions, take a step back until you're at peace. So don't make any key decisions when you are in that place of pressure or overwhelm or frustration, or in that place of, oh my gosh, I can't believe this just blew up or whatever. Take a step back until you're at peace with something. Make the decision after. Ask key, act as if questions. So if I were the sort of person I wanted to be, what would they do in this situation? And what I've found is it disconnects me from my own behavior, and I'm able to actually like just do the thing that I think I should probably do if I were that person, as opposed to acting how I maybe naturally would, which is just a huge hack. I mean, you can just separate from yourself and say, what would that person do? And then just do that, instead of going with your gut instinct. You know, Stephen Covey in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he references this idea that between stimulus, between something happening to you, and also Marcus Aurelius references this idea as well, which is just a beautiful idea, that it's not what happens to you that causes you to feel or act a certain way, it's your judgment or opinion of it that causes you to act or feel a certain way. So when something happens to you, big good thing, big bad thing, neutral thing, whatever's happening, it's not the thing that causes you to feel a certain way, it's your judgment of it or of yourself, or it's a judgment that you cast that then causes you to feel a certain way or behave a certain way. So learning how to view your reality as objective and separate from yourself, and saying, not this is that way, therefore I feel this way, it's this is that way, that's interesting, almost having a mindful curiosity and saying, this is very interesting, and I'm curious to learn more about this. How do I feel about this? And how would I choose to feel about this? So acting as if is a practice that you need to get very, very good at. If you were that sort of a person, what would that person do? Okay? So making key decisions, act as if you're that sort of person, make the decision as if. The next thing is make sure you're clear on your key objectives. Okay, so you have to know what is of top and utmost value, highest priority for you in that season. So for example, you know, we're launching a lot of new marketing projects, we're going way more mass market, and I'm really excited about it. But the problem and the challenge is we've been spending just a frick load of money. Like, I think we spent 50 grand last month and we didn't make much back. And like, a lot of people aren't willing to do that. So hey ho, here we are. You know, I'm 23 years old, and if I can throw stuff at a wall at that level, you should be able to too. I'm telling you, it's just the learning process. Okay, you got to stay a scientist. Money's just a data thing. You know, you got to separate your need from it, and so you got to make sure you're clear on your key objectives. So my key objective right now is to break through this marketing plateau that we've been experiencing for a very, very long time in my business, where, you know, we don't want to be in this bubble. We don't want to be in the internet marketing bubble. We want to push beyond and get to new people and introduce new people to the info industry, to the online coaching industry, and get more people into it. And that's what we want to do. That's how we really feel we're going to get to $1 million a month. But it's been very, very difficult because, you know, you have to almost speak like a sort of a person that you're not. Because the way that I talk, even on this video right now, it's almost in context to a certain group of people. And because you're in that group of people, maybe this video is valuable to you. But then there's a whole other realm of people that don't know anything about this model. And so it's like, how do I talk to those people? And this is such a skill that you have to learn. So for me, that's been my key thing. And so, you know, we got this fractional CMO from a company that's doing $3 million a month, and you see him over there for like a year, coming over here consulting with us. And, you know, because I know my key objectives, I'm able to make rational decisions because I'm aware of my key objectives. So a great book on this is called The One Thing. And it talks about, and I forget the author, but it talks about how if you can just identify one big domino in your business, that once you knock it over, all the other dominoes knock over, what would that one big thing be? And in our company right now, it's probably just higher tier cash flow management with as many team members as we have. So, you know, managing the cash with as many moving pieces as we have, all this stuff, like we're kind of like a bodybuilder that's in his bulk season, right? Like we need to cut again and get back to a place where we're much, much, much more profitable again, so that we can sustain our current pace and scale. And we need to bust our marketing ceiling. So this, you know, those are the two one things, even though maybe the bigger one thing is the marketing ceiling. how do you balance managing this amount of pressure and managing this amount of stress with still being a good human being? And this has honestly been a very huge challenge for me. This is just the well-refined art of self-control, and I'd mix self-control with healthy outlets. What I don't mean is pushing feelings down. I mean, it's learning how to see feelings as feelings, feel them, but act according to your values nonetheless. So self-control really comes from a place of integrity. Integrity is defined as acting in accordance to predetermined values. So integrity doesn't always just, I think people have an overly simplified version of what integrity is. They're like, oh, it just means doing what you say you'll do. And that's somewhat true, but there's deeper meaning to it. I think integrity means knowing what your values are and acting in accordance to them. So this is where write out your personal values. Have you ever done this? It's been very helpful for me. What are my values? What do I value the most in life as Trey Cockrum? What does Trey value? Then acting in accordance with them no matter what, so that you have a bar to measure yourself against when you are practicing self-control. Self-control isn't just not acting out in anger when you're angry, or not acting out in fear when you're afraid, or not getting overly emotional when things are amazing and you think you're Jesus, right? And you think you're the genius of the world, right? Not thinking that you got the Midas touch, because that's equally dangerous. Self-control is no matter how I'm feeling, these are my values, I'm gonna act in accordance to them. Men in my audience, because it's what I can relate to most, and I think most of our YouTube viewers are men anyways, so I'm just gonna talk to the men here. Healthy outlets: gym, running, journaling, counseling, fighting or boxing, things like these. Male communities. If you have a good relationship with your parents, call your parents. Parents, they often know you best. Okay? Or call friends. You should learn how to direct your behavior in such a way that you never, ever, ever take anything out on team, clients, loved ones. These are terrible, terrible outlets. Okay? Find healthy outlets. Get clear on your goals. Act in accordance to this spreadsheet. And I'm making this because even just today, I had to make, I think, like 3 key major leadership decisions that I'm just like, and if I can do it, you definitely can out of any entrepreneur that I know in this space. Like, I came into this game with so much baggage, and yet I've worked through it and figured it out, and here I am today. So, I don't know, hopefully this is a video that is of value to you if you're growing your company. This is how to handle pressure. You can go and download this document, links in the description. Read it, maybe print it out, take some of your own notes, and tag me on Instagram. If you print it out or you've got this document, it'd be really cool to see you guys watching the videos. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.